Greetings, geeks. Welcome to episode 769 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taka Malda, and joining me for the seventh nicest episode of Geeks in Space, we have Chris DeBona.
Hello.
And Rob Roseboom.
I don't know if this is really going to be the seventh nicest one, but
Yeah?
I mean, we can give it a shot.
I mean, with a little bit of gumption.
Yeah, it's just seven. Seven, that's a very particular number, right? We don't want to be too good to hit 6.
That's true. That's true. We don't want to, like, really inspire, because then we have more to live up to in the future, and that's no good either.
Right.
Or we use a different number basis, like octal.
Oh. Maybe we have been all along, and we just didn't know.
Really, isn't it the number system that you choose along the way that is your true
That's right.
aspirational friend?
Yeah, we've been doing all these in hexadecimal, but we skip all the lettered digits. So if we convert this back down to base 10, we're probably way less impressive, way more impressive with the total number of episodes we've done.
Yeah.
That also though makes Jeff losing the tapes even worse, because that means that he lost like what, 60% more copies.
Yeah.
Hard to say. All right, we got a hard stop. Let's find some fun to talk about. We have a story about a radioactive cylinder that got lost in Australia.
Yeah. Which, knowing Australia, probably not the worst thing in the middle of the desert that wants to kill you.
That's true. That's true.
No, it's probably one of the least poisonous things you could run into out there.
Yeah.
So there's
do we know
actually
what kind it is? Is it like a medicine?
There's pictures of it, and it's like the size of an eraser, like a pencil eraser. And it apparently is kicking out as much radiation as like a bunch of MRI machines, 10 X-ray machines an hour. And it's just out there. I did see somebody on a totally unrelated channel posted, "Hey, I found this in the Australian desert."
Yeah, I saw that actually. That was really funny.
This just reminds me of my uncle telling stories about how when they were kids they would break open thermometers and play with the mercury.
Oh yeah.
I just like the idea of someone finding this out there and some kids, put it in their mouth or throwing it at each other, or, just basically playing around with this thing, not knowing what it is.
Let's go Marie Curie this thing.
Yeah.
Well, when you're going to be felting some wool, really mercury's your best choice.
Oh yeah. And I mean, hardly a day goes by that I don't feel the need to felt wool.
Sure, you're probably more of a needle felter, knowing you. So
well, yeah, I have I have the special tool, so I can like felt very efficiently with like lots and lots of needles. That's not true. I've never felted.
Huh.
You haven't?
I mean, maybe I did as like a crafts project when I was a kid, but I've never needed. It's just not something that comes up normally throughout my day.
You're just never curious or anything. Just never.
Yeah.
Urge.
Never had the urge to be felt.
All right.
Well, what about needle felt? Have you been needle felted? Like, it's up to you. I guess that'd be a tattoo, right?
Yeah. That's true. And I wonder if having thread pierced under your skin is better or worse than ink. Probably worse.
Maybe, but acupuncture would be like needle tenderizing, which some butchers do to soften up meat. So.
Right.
Yeah, but that's a lot.
Really, it's all perspective.
That is a lot of acupuncture needles to get you tender, right?
That's true.
I've never had acupuncture. I assume they put thousands on you, right? I mean,
usually it's a dozen or so in some key areas.
Oh, okay.
I only know what I've seen on mass
like your
media.
eyebrows when they're threading you, they also acupuncture.
Yeah, when they're threading you.
Now they do spread that tenderizing powder on you, from what I'm told.
Oh,
It's a little awkward, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, do you think that MSG like hurts the way that salt hurts in open wounds?
I think for science we're gonna have to test it on you, Chris.
Well, this is the thing. My official last day is March 31st, and then I can do anything. But yeah. Okay.
Oh, don't let that stop you. We can pour MSG in your open wounds right now.
Wow, thanks.
I know, we're generous
that's
that way.
great.
There was just a big story in the news about MSG because they're trying to revamp it, and they
Yeah.
say people hate it because if you hate MSG, it's because of racial issues. They're saying.
I have a jar
Oh
of it
yeah,
in my drawer.
it's racist tonight. Like, so here's the thing. For years I make this dish called yellow rice and chicken. It's basically like a paella, right?
Mhm.
And there's a brand of seasoning called Vigo. Okay, and you can only buy it like in Florida, right, where my parents grew up. But so my sister and I, what we do is when we go to Florida, we buy like tons of this stuff, and we bring it back to our houses so we can make yellow rice and chicken over the
For
year.
cleaning out their wounds.
Well, sure. Anyway, and basically it has three. So I ran out and I was like, oh no, I ran out. I wonder what's in this. I turned it over. It says smoked paprika, which you expect, MSG, red dye number 5.
Oh.
Yeah.
Trifecta.
Well,
Like,
do you
that's
remember?
it?
Do you remember that product Accent back in the day?
Oh yeah, I have a jar of it.
Accent still is sold.
Yeah. Oh really?
Yeah.
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 That's
So
how,
that's just MSG.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a jar of it. I use it sometimes when I make ribs. I'll use it on rib rubs.
It's good stuff. Yeah, no. So when I make yellow rice and chicken now, I take like a 1-to-1 MSG and smoked paprika and no red dye number 5 because I'm like, why? And
bad
I
for
use
you.
that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's yeah, sure. So there you go.
You know
What
what
about
else
that red
is?
dye?
You know what's not that bad for you?
Hmm.
Swallowing Lego heads. This is a story about doctors who, as like a thing, they all swallowed Lego heads to time how fast they're pediatricians, I guess, and like because this is a pretty
Yeah.
common problem. And they're like, all right,
Yeah.
this is fine. And so this is just this silly story about a study that the 6 of them did, and one of the guys basically lied. They're all like
Wow.
looking through their poo to time their heads, like and like somebody got it through in like 11 hours. You look.
Seems like there was just too much time on there.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, so I'm going to say a thing. I immediately went to save this image to use it as a background in the
Oh, yeah.
future, and it's tagged a Getty image.
Oh,
So I'm like,
I just saved it as my screenshot for the thumbnail
don't do
for the
it.
episode.
Don't do it. Don't do it. You don't want to get copyright struck for that. But that said, you know what I'm going to do today for you guys?
Eat a Lego head.
I'm going to go to the Lego store. I'm going to go to their, pick a brick in the
Yeah, yeah.
back. I'm going to find some Lego heads. I'm going to recreate this image and free it for society, for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah,
and
Fighting the good
you,
fight.
and
That's right.
and all one of our viewers.
That's right.
I like that it
Screw the
says one of.
bullies.
I like that it says one of them never recovered his Lego
Yep,
head.
because he didn't like search his.
He
poo.
didn't want to. He
Oh.
didn't want to search his poo.
He
he didn't
basically
want to put
lied.
poo through a strainer.
This is they just had too much time on their
For
hands.
sure.
This reminds me. Remember the time at the office where we asked one of our coworkers whose father happens to be a urologist
Yes, I did.
how
Mhm.
many days you could go without peeing
And we
before you
called
died?
him.
We called him during the
And-
middle of the day.
And we all sit on speakerphone, enraptured as a as a urologist with decades of experience explains
I
to
was
us
picturing.
what would
Can we
happen.
speak with Doctor, Mr. Doctor guy? I'm not gonna say the name. And they're like, yes. Oh gosh, it must be an emergency if the boys are calling.
Yep.
He was,
If his son's friends are calling, it must be an emergency. And he gets on. What's up? Are you guys okay? Do you have a prostate
Yeah.
emergency?
Yeah.
And then
and we're like, no,
No.
but we do have a question. How long can someone pee or not pee before they die?
he probably
then
just answered
there-
it at that point.
Yeah.
There was a pause. He didn't ask why we were asking.
Nope.
There was
Mhm.
a pause, and then you could tell that he was thinking about it. And I think his answer was something like 36 to 48 hours
Yeah.
or something like that before
Nice.
bladder
Death.
would rupture.
Yeah. You got to
That's
get those
pretty
bad
cool.
chemicals out. All that red dye number 5's got to come out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean.
Now, if you didn't,
know.
if you didn't eat red dye number 5, then you had an extra 12 hours.
Right. That stuff's bad for
Well,
you, though.
I should do a survey. I should go get some more Vigo. Okay, make 2 yellow rice and chicken things. One with Vigo, one without Vigo. And then see if the color of my urine is different. Like,
All right.
so when I the old urologist saying, try to pee
Oh,
clear
don't I?
once a day or whatever. And so I'm like, I wonder if like I've been a more colorful urinator as a result of the red dye number 5, which has been a constant in my life
Sure.
until recently.
See, I'm honestly for anything that involves making Chris pee in a jar and then measure it in some way.
I'm not going to do that, and I'm not going to
okay.
send you the jar. Stop asking.
I'm sorry, Rob. The pictures are going to have to be enough for you.
All right. Well, the problem is that when you Google for it, all you find is Getty images of jars, and it's a little
Of
weird.
random pee.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Pretending to be
Googling
pee.
for urine jar. That's
Yeah.
a great idea.
Yeah, it doesn't get you on a list at all.
I don't speak for Google anymore since the event.
The incident.
But you know, I can't recommend as a human being that other people Google for that.
No, there are many things that in this age of surveillance capitalism that I'm like, no, I just don't think it's a good idea for me to search for that. My curiosity, like I don't believe in incognito mode at all. So I'm like, I'm not gonna do that because I'm gonna get on a list. And it's never bad things. It's just like the embarrassing things, you know?
So what do we got besides piss jugs this morning, gentlemen?
Well, Last of Us got renewed for season 2. I don't know if you guys watched this week's episode, but
No, I haven't watched it yet. I've been on the road.
I cried.
So, yeah.
Either.
I legit cried.
They have the episode where they find out that all the infected are actually thinking about them, and so they realize they had killed their mothers and their sisters and their children.
No, they found out that they were transmitting it by eating Lego heads.
Yeah. Well, that's what caused the original infection because a spore piggybacked on the back of I believe it was a 1970s spaceman Lego head. But yeah.
Spaceship. So anyway, they got renewed. This week's episode is great. And
so it's coming into its own because it was a little rocky in the beginning.
You know, I never had a problem with it being a little rocky. I didn't feel that. I felt like it was just a show taking its time.
I think it's okay for it to. You know.
Well, and so we've talked about this in the past. The other advantage that this show has is it's not a huge ensemble. You don't have to get to know 50 characters in the first episode. Which is this is so I'm watching Yellow Jackets. I mentioned this I think last week, but that show has an entire girls soccer team, but you have the old adult versions and the kid version, and then so you've got 15 actors and like 3 or 4 of them you have to also keep track of their old and young self. That's a pain in the ass. But Last of Us, there's 4 or 5 characters, but mostly it's Joel and Ellie. And it's easy.
And, anytime you are introduced to a new character, there's about a 60% chance he will die or she will die by the end of the episode. So
exactly,
problem solved.
Yeah, it makes it easy.
Well, are they trying to speed run like every season of The Walking Dead at this point? Is there going to be a barn scene? And
I never
the
finished
governor's
the game.
going to show up.
I never finished the game, so I'm actually
Me
after
either.
this.
It's a pleasant surprise to watch the movie.
Yeah, well, I watched a thing that they were talking about the differences between the game and the show, and I'm like, all right, I got to go back and finish the game. But I kind of want to take my time because I don't want to spoil the show.
Well, I think the thing that was most offensive to me as somebody who didn't play the game was how they replaced the infection with mushrooms from the original Captain Crunch as being the carrier. I was like, oh, look, they're bought out by Big Kellogg. And no, I can't.
I didn't like that Joel and Ellie just didn't die every 5 minutes and then have to reload from a save point.
It turns out it was the crunch berries the whole time.
Crunch berries. Really, but wasn't it the crunch berries we met along the way?
That's right. So. Well, Chris, I got a weirder one for you. It's the mystery of the Dune font. I
saw that.
It's just silly.
Strangely compelling.
I like fonts, and this is just a story of this font that is this Art Nouveau font that we associate with Dune, and where it came from and how it got used and why we now associate this font. Decades later. Really this is just the sort of thing that I nerd out on.
So I will say, I'm disappointed they don't have the corpse spinning Frank Herbert of Dune. I'm sorry, the follow-on books discussed in this.
Made by money grubbing family
ghoulish, the ghoulish money grubbing, retellings of Dune. Yeah.
I only got halfway through the second book. I
You
like
mean the
fir-
second of the children's the not Frank Herbert, Brian Herbert's
No, I only
stuff?
read Dune and then whatever the second one was, and I got halfway through the second one and I was
I
just
see.
like, all right, this isn't as good as the first one, and I moved on.
Yeah, I read Dune and I couldn't do the rest. I think she thought they were really thick and not very good. But,
Fair enough.
I've read them all, but you're correct. There is a sharp downward turn.
Yeah.
It was funny in the I want to say 90s. There was the books. I want to say it's. I'll find out, but it was basically a different analogy for the Middle East in science fiction. Gravity Song book, sci-fi, Middle East.
Well,
When Gravity Falls. Yeah.
No, Gravity Falls is different. My kids love that shit.
No, When Gravity Falls
Oh.
is a book.
Oh.
And it's really good. It was in some ways it was very proto Neuromancer. It came out either before or right with Neuromancer. They had a lot of the same sort of technology and themes. Jacking in chips to augment your intelligence, and it
Which you
was
do.
good. Yeah, it was super good. So.
Well, we've got a picture of a teddy bear that we found on Mars.
Yeah.
So we're doomed. The teddy bears are coming for us.
Wait, why do you think we're doomed? I mean,
well, because it's only a matter of
time. Teddy bears love us.
It's only a matter of time before bears get cocaine. And once there's cocaine bears, we don't have a chance.
So my question is, so this is just a naturally occurring teddy bear. This isn't like a long-term joke from the guys at JPL, or?
Oh no, this is proof from the aliens. This is one of the first signs.
This is like that Jesus face.
Yeah, they spread Build-A-Bears across the nation, so they have outposts ready to take over every city. Mm-hmm. And this is the mark. They've shown the bear.
This is the sign.
By the end of the week. By the end of the week, things will start looking pretty grim here, I think.
Well, yeah.
The opening salvo.
I hate to be that guy, but if they made the eyes a little bigger, it'd be friendlier. It looks like one of those sort of emo teddy bear comics that you would have seen in the 90s.
This is not a friendly message.
No, this isn't Tenderheart Bear.
This is the end times.
This is preparing for a full-blown Care Bear stare, like a wave motion gun.
The wave motion gun Care Bear stare. That's brilliant.
That's how it's gonna go.
Man, I love that show.
They're gonna unleash Apocalypse Bear.
Apocalypse
Bear will come.
Pestilence Bear.
Dark Side Bear.
It's Pestilence Bear, War Bear.
War Bear.
That'd be cool.
War Bear has to be real.
I mean, the four bears of the apocalypse is what I'm going for.
I mean,
obviously,
famine bear is a little bit too much for me. I got to be honest.
Yeah, he's a little skinny.
Yeah.
Well, and he's the saddest bear because I love Fat Bear Week. I'd hate Thin Bear Week.
Yeah.
And those bears would be angry. It's funny. We should also have Mouth Soreness Bear as one of our bears of the apocalypse. Let me explain.
Like the herpes bear?
No, not a herpes bear. No, there was a polar bear, and he killed a number of the equivalent of Boy Scouts on Svalbard that were there camping on the ice, and they couldn't get out the gun fast enough to kill it, and so he ended up mauling some poor kid. And they did an autopsy on the bear to see why he was so angry. And it turned out he had a massive abscess in his mouth that was probably incredibly painful.
I bet.
So, which is one of the worst stories really, you hear while you're on Svalbard. They're like, the reason we carry guns everywhere.
That's why we brought it to Geeks in Space, really, to bring you down.
Yeah. Well, we're known for our deeply affecting content.
Right. And also
as the internet's oldest podcast,
Yeah, and discussing the urine that we definitely don't keep in jars and photograph. There's a story about iPhone crash detection, making false calls on Japanese ski slopes.
Yeah.
We talked about this last week.
This is an old story, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, this is not a new story. This was just the first story I saw that actually had numbers involved.
Wow.
So there were 134 calls to this Japanese organization
Over a
where they had
month.
to, where they had to go and put forth resources and make sure these
Oh
people are
my.
okay. So now they ask people if they have that model iPhone that they call first, uh, and say, hey, although I can't imagine how that would help a whole lot, because when the sensor goes off, even if they've called, you have to respond, right?
Yeah.
You have to
Yeah.
make sure they're okay. Uh,
Yeah.
but it was just interesting to see that that was the first one I saw that had actual numbers other than this thing was happening.
Uh,
I think when that
Zen,
goes
I just want to
off,
say, can we have this like as a side joke in the cartoon?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, we should. That'd be very modern of us.
I
But yeah.
think that when this occurs, you have a few seconds to like abort it. Like there's a like because I once accidentally bumped my phone or I bumped my watch. I did something and it triggered the I'm gonna call 911 warning, but it gave me like a countdown for me to cancel. But I imagine that if you're like wearing your phone or your watch and you're skiing, it's probably like deep in a pocket or something, so you wouldn't even know that you might not even get that. But I guess I don't ski. Chris, do you know if somebody calls you when you're skiing?
Oh yeah. Well, I have a Bluetooth headset
Mm,
embedded in my helmet.
gotcha.
You know,
But that's
so
might
and I
not
can
be
control.
that might not be everybody.
It's getting more common. Yeah, I mean, this is another thing that honestly I should, now that I'm no longer employed at Google, like making a better helmet insert microphone and headset combo would be awesome, because mine's getting old and it was fine, but it was always not great, you know?
This is
So,
just your way of saying that in a couple of weeks you're going to be streaming Geeks in Space while zipping down a hill, and then it's going to be all
well,
like, my phone just called 911 and I dislocated my shoulder again.
well, I did entertain the idea of doing my part of Geeks in Space while skiing a couple of times. So I have actually all the gear to do it. Because I can stream from my phone and a GoPro. But the noise would probably be intolerable,
Oh, for
frankly.
sure.
So you'd have to manage my noise pretty actively, Rob.
Yeah, yeah. Your mic is pretty
So.
bad today, and you're only in a hotel room. Imagine how bad it would be if you were
Oh, it's
going.
surprising how good the GoPro is at handling wind noise, and I've got a little wind cover for it. You can use it in that mode.
Yeah,
But it's in the end, I don't want to be doing this while
yeah.
skiing.
That
I like listening
seems
to music,
foolish.
but the first time I dislocated my shoulder, I was listening to an audiobook. Uh,
Yeah.
or the second time, it was an audiobook. The first time I was just, being dumb.
Right.
And according to my doctor, it was going to happen eventually by me taking something out of the car or whatever. But
Mm.
yeah, so
Well,
yeah, I
okay.
have taken phone calls on the Hill though. That's
Ugh.
how the Core Infrastructure Initiative got funded. So yeah.
Not that's scary to me. Hey,
Hmm.
Rob, were you the one that shared the Titanic conspiracy TikTok?
Yes. Did
Tell me.
you go down the rabbit hole on that?
No, I was waiting
So,
because I
so
wanted to hear you share it.
I love conspiracy theories, right?
Yeah, you
And
do.
the thing that I love most about them is every now and again you'll get one that is either completely true or partially true, right? And this is not one of them. And let me just put that up front. I like the idea that this is what happened. So the 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 gist of this conspiracy theory is that the Titanic had basically two sister ships.
Hmm.
Uh, one was lost. One was
The
hit by
Olympic and
a
Britannic, yeah.
torpedo, as far as I remember.
Yeah.
It was hit by something that suffered damage. So the conspiracy theory is that this put all of them in the shipbuilders in a hole. It put the company in a hole. So what they did is they took the damaged boat, took that out to sea, let that sink so that they
Scuttled
could
it.
get
Yeah.
the insurance money, took the Titanic, which was fine, and scrapped it in secret and sold all the scrap and parts to other manufacturers so that they wouldn't go bankrupt.
All right.
Hmm.
That's a stretch.
Yes. So anyway, it was a conspiracy theory I've never
That's a good
heard
one. I
before,
like it.
and it's like not involving the government. It's involving just like shady business practices and money. which makes it way more believable to
Very
me.
believable.
Yeah.
Now, having said that, I don't believe that these people let a whole bunch of folks drown in the Atlantic Ocean
Right.
so that they could make money. But worse things have definitely happened, especially
So
at this
my
time.
question is, what did James Cameron say?
He said
He
they
hasn't
would
weighed
both
in yet.
fit on the door. Shut up. All the boats fit on the door.
Yeah.
All right.
That's a good one though.
That's a weird one. I like that. I'm gonna read up on that one afterwards. It is interesting
tasty.
because TikTok is uniquely suited to propagating this sort of information because, like,
Yeah,
I
it's
think
got
people are
both.
more likely to believe something when they see a video than just tweets. So tweets are cheap and fast and easy, so you can say
Yeah.
anything. But if you put it to video, like, I think it shortcuts your brain, like makes you believe it faster.
Yeah, I think that's true. And also, there's way more people who are suckers on, because I mean, TikTok has such a huge user base.
That's true.
Right? So you have a direct line from the scam to the sucker. Like in ways that we kind of didn't have even in YouTube. So.
Yeah.
Although not that there's not scams on YouTube.
Well, for sure, but it's so I've always had a theory about the skill and the skill required to produce. And with every passing year, the skill required to produce content has become easier. And the cost of the Facebook like and the Twitter heart is nothing. And the difficulty of producing a TikTok is nothing compared to even a YouTube 10 years ago. And the faster and easier and cheaper it becomes to make something, the more likely it is that you get the wackos. So we've got a story about water dowsing. This is weird.
I cannot believe. Listen, I've been on this planet a long time. People are still doing dumb things like this, and I'm just like, really?
This is so common for finding oil
it's
or natural
stupid
gas.
common. People are
wells.
so hopeful,
Yeah, it's
and
crazy.
so willing to believe. It's like, just stop. I know it's sad to not have your beliefs.
I'd never seen a story. So these people are using this to find water leaks. Like the
Yes,
government
which
is hiring these people. They're like, hey, we got a leak someplace. We can tell the pressure's down. Get Dowsing Don out to figure out where the leak is, right?
But
yeah,
I mean,
I
guess it's better than waiting for a sinkhole, but it's not actually better. It's just as dumb.
We hear stories about police stations hiring psychics. I mean, this isn't any different, right?
Sure.
Well, yeah, I think that's just a TV show.
Most of those stories you hear too, they're actually not paying psychics to do stuff.
The psychics just call in.
They're whack jobs who call up, or people who know them, right?
And try to take credit.
Actually, like they're like, whoever's at the water authority is like, oh, we got low pressure on here. Send out Bill, and Bill's on the payroll. Takes out his dowsing rods, walks the line to figure out where the leak is. Not taking it, not at all feeling with his feet where there might be spongy ground or anything. I'm sure.
Hey, it's weird. This is softer here. Let's try here.
The rods tell me here, boys.
Yeah, the rods.
Just weird, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess good for that guy.
Yeah, I guess.
People like tarot cards too.
And it's not just like one place, or it's what it was like.
It was 10 of the 12 water bureaus, yeah.
So virtually all of them.
Yes. Maybe it's Britain. Maybe Britain has like a latent druidic tendency.
Or maybe
I'm telling you, it's huge business, like Oklahoma, Texas, all the way up to Dakotas. Almost all those guys who go looking for natural gas or oil wells use dowsing.
Yeah. Dowsing, and then 3 million gallons of water to fracture a well.
Well, and the base geological
I mean,
knowledge that these are the areas where those things are.
Yeah, it helps.
Well, it's not like they're dowsing for natural or for oil wells, out on Goose Lake behind me over here, right?
So I'm not gonna be that, there's oil everywhere. That's just a matter of,
Just a matter of dousing for
you,
it.
you know, but if you look at how we originally found oil, we had seeps, and then we would dig next to the seep, which makes sense. Then we had individual strikes in like the Permian Basin and the rest in Spindletop. Um, but when we went to horizontal drilling, that ended up exposing a huge number of unfound, salt domes of oil, right? And then we went to fracturing in the 50s. Fracturing's been going on a really long time. So in the 50s, we started doing hydraulic fracturing, and that was like it took horizontal drilling to a new level, right? So it's like you could kind of reliably say, hey, we're in this known site for oil and gas. Why don't you go sideways and hydraulically fracture here? And it's like, I'm not sure you're actually doing any work here, but anyway, it's just weird.
C'est la vie. We've also got a story about training ants to sniff out cancer.
I mean, sure.
This is in the Smithsonian though, so it's real.
This
Yeah,
was
I know.
well. I mean, they've trained dogs to sniff out cancer and virtually everything else, right? They have dogs that sniff out pirated DVDs.
Well, there's the story
and all
that goes
kinds of
around.
stuff, right?
There's a story that goes around about a lady who can smell Parkinson's too.
Yeah. The thing that was interesting to me about this was that they found it took 10 minutes for them to train the ants to find the chemical, like super fast. Like they even talk about the researchers were amazed. They're like, what? I can't, like, we just take an hour and we can have a whole bunch of ants who can find this. Now their percentage correctly isn't as good as dogs. So it's like a math problem. It's, I think,
Sure.
like they're 20 to 30% more likely to go to the chemical that they're trained to find than the other ants. So it becomes a matter of, if you were to say dump ants on someone with cancer to detect cancer, you would have to look where the most ants were. It's not like a dog who would just go directly to the trouble spot.
It's a probabilities game.
But I mean, if it takes less than an hour to train them and there are ants everywhere, I just thought that was a cool story because I imagine this is a lot cheaper than a lot of the other diagnostics that they have.
Yeah, for sure.
Right. I'm not saying that we switch over to all ant, but maybe a cheap screening system involving those things might be a good idea.
If the ants are pretty sure, then maybe you go in for the big test.
Right.
The last test that we have is a lot more urgent, and I'm glad we're getting it out of the way before the month of January is done. The results are in. A little girl requested a DNA test on Santa Claus to find out if Santa Claus is real.
Listen, I'm not trying to be a killjoy, but think of the rape kits they didn't process.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going to start with this to say, I don't mean to be a Grinch, but I hate this story.
Mm-hmm.
I hate that they put any time into this. I understand why they did. Oh, someone in there and margin marketing is like, oh, this will be great. People will love us. Not that they really need any marketing. Do you know what I mean? Where else are they going to go? They exist already. But also, it's a personal, maybe it's the way I grew up. I kind of hate the fact that we lie to kids about a magical person who goes down the chimney.
For sure.
And as a kid, I thought it was bullshit. And my cousins, I would have huge fights about it. So almost every Christmas, I would start a fire in my fireplace and sit up until midnight just to wait, just in case. I was 99% sure, but I would have a fire going and I would sit and watch it.
Just got to make sure.
For smoking boots to come down the chimney.
That is so funny.
That explains everything you need to know about young Robert.
It does.
Good Lord. That's hilarious.
And you know what? It never happened.
Never happened.
Never once.
Yeah. So I think it was either Seth Meyers or Stephen Colbert. They talked about this story and they said, well, the irony is it wasn't all fun and games. It turns out Santa killed a man in like Nevada in the 70s,
Right.
Seems plausible. All right, well, that's a bummer of a story. Now it's all ruined. Now I don't believe in Santa anymore.
Well, I hated lying to the kids. It's like it ate away at me. And so when Franny, first of all, any kids listening, spoiler,
Spoiler, Santa's
when
dead.
Well,
when Franny
but
came to
quite,
me, she
quite,
said, she go ahead.
quite frankly, any kid listening, go and do something better. Go make some friends. Kids should not be listening
Nope.
to Geeks in
To a
Space.
bunch of old jerks,
Right?
Yeah, no, she came to me and she's like, Dad, I have something to tell you. I'm like, oh, okay, my serious kid. She goes, I believe that you are Santa Claus. And I was like, well, present your evidence. And so she came up with like 5 points that, like your handwriting's terrible and so is Santa's.
Sure.
You ended up using the same paper on something from you as from Santa. I mean, it
Oh,
was well
well
researched,
done.
her presentation.
Good job,
And
Franny.
I was like, and so I was like, listen, I got to tell you something, Fran. You're not wrong, okay? But now you're part of the secret. You're part of the conspiracy.
You spoil it for your
So,
brother, and you don't get Christmas.
well, no, I was like, there's a lot of people at school. She's like, I know. So many of them think that Santa is not their parents, and I was like, I know, right? But you can't be the one who tells them.
That's
They
right.
got to hear it from their parents, right? And I told her how much I hated lying to her and how much I hate lying to her brother, her sibling at the time, and like, yeah, I hate lying to
We
my
had a
kids.
similar situation at our house,
Yeah.
but I think that the nice thing at our house is that the kids enjoyed the pretend of it for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Even
Well,
when
they can
knew.
enjoy it after they
Yeah.
know too. it
But
turns
they
out,
played
so.
along,
Yeah.
and they knew
We're still
that it was
super
good.
into stockings. We
Yeah.
love stockings, man.
Nope. Made me furious as a child that people were lying to me bold-faced, even when I would ask them
Yeah.
directly. Hated it.
But I mean, wasn't your house deeply religious? They were lying to you all the time.
That's true.
It was deeply religious in waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
get you.
In certain areas, less so in others. All right, folks. Chris, you got a hard stop, so I guess it's time for us to
Yeah.
rock on out of here.
Yep.
Let's say goodbye to Rob Roseboom.
Goodbye.
Goodbye
Santa's not real.
goodbye to Chris DeBona.
The magic of childhood is pretty great, but Rob's right.
Yep. And I was Rob Commander Taco Malda, thanking you for joining us for the 7th nicest episode of Geeks in Space, episode 769. We'll see you Friday. Bye.